Hello, it is 5 a.m. in Washington. It's 11 a.m. in Milan. I'm Monita Rajpal.
And I'm Zain Verjee. You're watching World One live from London.
I'm going to get more now on the situation from the people who probably know most at this point. And we have Mr. Gbagbo's spokesperson, Apr06 in Abidjan, on the line now. Sir, thank you very much for being with us. First of all, can you confirm for us, is Mr. Gbagbo negotiating surrender or is he negotiating a ceasefire?
He has already negotiated a ceasefire yesterday, and now he's negotiating a surrender.
Apr06, the spokesperson for the President-elect Alassane Ouattara, we thank you very much for that. And of course, once again, we've been given some misinformation, and we were told originally that Mr. Apr06 was the spokesperson for Mr. Gbagbo, but obviously he's not. He's the spokesperson for Alassane Ouattara. Zain. There has been battering parts of the United States. Meteorologist Karen McGinnis is at the World Weather Center with more on that. Karen, hello.
We have much to tell you about Monita, and we'll start off first with what's going on across Europe.
Actually thinks that she's a horse. What do you think of that?
I think there are people who think they're ducks. I'm still a bit fascinated by that. Imagine preparing yourself for that.
It's all ridiculous.
How does one do that?
If it walks like a cow, it jumps like a cow, it talks like a cow. It's a cow.
All right. What have we got for us in sport there?
Champions League action, thanks very much. Chelsea are going to be hosting Manchester United, and Barcelona will entertain Shakhtar Donetsk in the Champions League quarterfinals. Augusta suits Nicholson. He's a left-handed player and he's a real fan's favourite too.
It's good to hear that his wife is doing well as well. All right. Thank you very much for that, Don. Thing stands right now. Ivory Coast's post-election violence has left the country, as we've been seeing, in chaos, but not long ago, it was a model of prosperity in Africa. Jim Clancy takes a look at the impact of the crisis in Ivory Coast and why it matters to the world.
The former French colony is better known, of course, as Côte d'Ivoire. About the size of Poland, it is the fourth largest exporter on the continent, behind South Africa and oil-rich Angola and Nigeria.
We're bringing you the very latest now on a very fluid situation taking place in Ivory Coast right now. According to a spokesperson for Laurent Gbagbo, he has told CNN that Mr. Gbagbo is not surrendering. There had been talk that there were negotiations taking place over the last 24 hours and that there was to be some sort of settlement, but there is nowhere close to that right now. According to the spokesperson for Laurent Gbagbo, he is not surrendering. He was on the point of giving up, but then backtracked. That's according to a spokesperson for Alassane Ouattara, who spoke to CNN just moments ago. And he refuses to accept that he has lost that election to Alassane Ouattara. We are also getting some reports then from Reuters that the presidential residence has been stormed by the forces loyal to Alassane Ouattara. Again, we are trying to get that confirmed at this point. We're also trying to get confirmed where exactly Mr. Laurent Gbagbo is at this point. We'll, of course, bring you up to date on the situation in Ivory Coast as we get it, as late information keeps trickling in. Meanwhile, in Japan, the leak has stopped, but the concerns haven't. Workers at the Fukushima nuclear plant have managed to stop radioactive water from gushing into the Pacific after plugging a crack in the concrete shaft at Reactor 2. Despite Wednesday's success, Japan says it is well aware of the ongoing fears of its neighbors. Cole was also talking about those threats could be as a result of the very measures being taken to stabilize the plant as we speak. We want to get more analysis now on the crisis there that Japan is facing. We're going over to CNN in Hong Kong, where we're joined by former nuclear power plant operator Michael Friedlander. Mr. Friedlander, thank you very much for being with us. What the authorities, the Japanese authorities, have been doing up until this point is trying to cool these reactors and by pouring water onto them. How sustainable is this, first of all?
Well, you know, technically speaking, it can go on indefinitely. But exactly as the report that was reported from the New York Times.
World One, we want to bring you up to date on a very, very fast-moving situation in Ivory Coast. We understand that the Reuters news agency is saying forces loyal to Alassane Ouattara are storming Laurent Gbagbo's home. There had been reports earlier in the last 24 hours that there had been a negotiation taking place between the two sides, perhaps for Mr. Gbagbo to step down or to even exceed the fact that he had lost the elections 4 months ago. But There have been now reports, according to an advisor to Mr. Gbagbo, he is saying that Mr. Gbagbo is not surrendering. He told CNN that Mr. Gbagbo is not surrendering and that those negotiations are not indeed taking place. So we had spoken to a spokesperson for Alassane Ouattara, who had basically said the same thing, that there had been negotiations, but then Mr. Gbagbo had reportedly, according to Alassane Ouattara's spokesperson, backtracked on that. In the meantime, again, we're getting reports that the presidential palace has been stormed. We understand a life less ordinary, but a life without limits, that's another question. A world of duty looms large for William and Kate, and of course expectations. And as our Max Foster explains more from London.
World One live from London, I'm Zain Verjee.
I'm Monita Rajpal. Thank you for watching CNN.